There are two types of stratified squamous epithelial tissue, keratinized and non-keratinized. As with all epithelial tissues, stratified squamous epithelium is classified based on the shape of its cells and the number of layers. The term stratified indicates that it's composed of two or more layers. The term squamous indicates it is thin, flattened cells at its apical surface. Remember that it's the shape of the cells at the apical surface that give the tissue its name. In fact, the shape of the cells in the rest of the tissue may be variable in shape. So with epithelial identification, you must first find the lumen to identify the apical layer before assessing the shape of the cells. If the cells also possess large quantities of keratin, other identifying characteristics are present. Stratified squamous epithelium is found in areas that experience abrasion, as the many layers allow it to stand up to a lot of abuse. This includes places like the skin, mouth, esophagus, rectum, and vagina, among others. Think of the last time you had a rug burn or ate a corn chip and swallowed a sharp fragment. The reason that stratified squamous epithelium has many layers is that the apical layer is meant to be put up with a lot of abuse, protecting the body by sacrificing itself to abrasion by being rubbed off. The reason that this isn't terrible news for us is that the cells at the apical surface are pretty much destined to die anyway. Because epithelial tissue is avascular, its source of nutrition comes from the vessels and in the connective tissue it is attached to, such as areolar tissue, that allow diffusion of gases and nutrients through its basement membrane for the survival of the epithelial cells. Cells at the apical surface are so far away from the basement membrane that access to nutrients is compromised. Some cells are dead on arrival. In stratified squamous epithelia, the basal cells are often cuboidal in shape and they are highly mitotic. Non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelia are characterized by many layers of cells, with flattened cells at the surface, some that are still alive and displaying nuclei. These tissues are found in moist environments. The basal layer of cells is often cuboidal in shape with rounded nuclei and often looks like it is arranged as a wavy line upon the deeper connective tissue. In comparison to keratinized tissue, there are usually fewer layers of cells. This, and the fact that the tissue is kept moist, is why many of the cells at the apical surface are still alive and display nuclei. For keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, which is only found in the skin, there are a greater number of layers, and the cells at the apical surface are dead with no visible nuclei. In the lower layers, rounded cells or spiny-shaped cells may be seen with large round nuclei, as these cells are still alive. This is because these cells fill with waterproofing keratin, causing the cells to die, dry, and flatten, and form loosened sheets that spontaneously slough off pieces. These pieces make up about 80% of household dust. An interesting thing about keratinized tissue is the basal layer often follows a more wavy shape that is formed by the areolar connective tissue it sits upon. In non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, the waviness is less pronounced often in some organs, but in keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and particularly thick skin, it can be very pronounced. It is these wavy ridges, called dermal papillae, that form our fingerprints. In the lab, to differentiate between the two types of stratified squamous epithelium, first assess the shape of the cells at the apical surface and whether there are any nuclei. You can also sometimes see dead layers that have already separated from the tissue. If you see hair in the tissue, you are definitely looking at keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. If the dead layer is really thick and does not have hair, it is thick skin of the palms or soles of the feet. If the cells are flattened and have some nuclei present, it is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium.